Wealth, yoga, wine. Welcome to my podcast. I'm Valerie Hale. Laughter in your life improves your health. How can that be, you ask? In the first place, laughing will improve your immune system. Laughter also increases the happy hormones in our system. Dopamine, endorphins, serotonin, these are all the happy hormones that make us happy. How do you find ways to start laughing immediately in your life? One of the ways is call up a friend who you know is funny. One of my friends has two papillons, and they are really silly. One of them, Tina, she specifically knows that she's a funny dog. I asked Michelle to take a photo of her dogs. Tina, true to her spirit, stuck her tongue out in the photo. This is so typical of her silly papillon. The other day on LinkedIn, somebody included a hilarious video of these silly dogs, and I laughed. Some of them were absolutely hilarious. I am not a dog person, but these brought absolute joy to my life. Mary Morrissey suggests if you're out in the public, in a grocery store, maybe an outdoor concert, a restaurant, and you hear laughter, get a little closer to it, because that actually will add joy to your life. Laughter spreads joy. If your home environment, with this pandemic, there is a lot of depression, there are just a lot of tense times. As weird as it sounds, take some time out to laugh with your family. This is really vitally important that you start concentrating on bringing laughter into your life. The whole idea of bringing happy hormones into your life is also vital. I have talked many times about Kundalini Yoga and children. This is also vitally important that we increase laughter in our children's lives. The pandemic has caused so much trauma and depression in their lives, we are seeing an uptick in suicides. The Kundalini teachings by certified teachers, which I include on the podcast details, are both virtual classes. Also, there is a wonderful studio in the Clearwater area of Florida called A Yoga Village. They teach children's yoga every Monday at 4 o'clock. Prakash, one of my virtual teachers, and I've studied with her in New York, all total now for 6 or 7 years, specifically says that Kundalini Yoga teaches children the mind-body connection, meaning that they also will have the happy hormones. She says that children have learned how to fight better, which in return really means they don't fight any longer because they're happier children, because they are more self-aware and they have self-control. Senator Raskin said to us, he has gone on television, YouTube is where I saw him. He talks about his own son committing suicide last year, just around the time of January 6th. And even though they're heavily involved with their children, this was something they couldn't prevent. You cannot prevent depression. What we can do, however, is have them take these science technology classes in Kundalini Yoga, and they can teach themselves how to control their mind and body, how to control depression. When children become more self-aware, they understand that they are involved in a downward spiral. It is simple practice that will improve. These are our future world leaders. We need to help them at a young age. Remember, when they start to learn Kundalini Yoga, for that matter, any yoga, it will produce the happy hormones. It can prevent suicide in our younger generation. Women and wine is one of my favorite topics right now because All women we know in our businesses must work twice as hard as men in order to succeed. The French women especially have a challenging time in Burgundy and Bordeaux especially. They are very much male-oriented and driven industries. The reason being, it was generally the sons who took over the vineyards. Now women are becoming more educated in wine school. They have also worked side by side with their fathers, their uncles, even their sons, their brothers. And the men are learning that the women, while they have always played a secondary pack, they are now fully qualified to make their own vintages. The Hospice de Beaune is an annual auction that started in 1400s. There is a female vintner with her first inaugural vintage in 2015 that broke all auction records. The Hospice de Beaune, while its primary focus is to raise money for the Hospital de Beaune, which is now outside of Beaune, their primary focus is to raise funds. It's a charity event now. Interestingly, though, the Hospice de Beaune also sets the pricing for Burgundies. That is rather interesting because the pricing is usually, it's always Premier Cru and Grand Cru, and those are the highest designations for Burgundies. Therefore, that means the pricing is usually going to be a little steep. The 2015 vintage, which is female vintner, broke all previous records of the auction, really opened doors for Burgundy female producers. An outcome of this is also that 3 of the women out of 80 male producers began an association called Femmes de Vin Bourgogne. Now there are about 38 women who are involved. This is an important association because, of course, it gives women some teeth in their own industry. And I have put the links to their websites and also where to purchase their wines. I'm starting again with the same 3 producers, Tortochot, Tapenot, and Joseph Drouin. Interestingly, you will still see the father's name or the male dominated in the domain name. That is, even though the females now run the entire operation, that is simply French. It's never going to change, and they don't really care because they know that their name is going to be known for their vintage. In conclusion, it is so important to bring laughter into your life. It is so important to bring laughter into your family's life. It's easy to do it immediately. You can call up a friend and start laughing. You can find laughter when you're out in the public. It's so important to employ that emotion, laughing, in your life. It's easy to do. Kundalini Yoga helps children stay silly and fun. They can sing and they can dance in classes. They can be children. But I do strongly believe that our children going through extreme trauma, something that is this easy to help them with, if it's once a week, once a month, it will start getting them involved in an alternative way of thinking and controlling their emotions. Lastly, let's buy and support these female vintners in France because, yes, it's true, we women have to work twice as hard to become a success. Lastly, I am not a life consultant. I'm not a life coach. I create this podcast on a weekly basis to help hundreds of people globally. I would love for people to support me and become either product placement as a sponsor or simply as advertising. It's a very unique opportunity. Or go on Patreon and you can make a donation. I accept Zelle, PayPal, and Venmo. Merci.